he will be
absolutely
one of the greats.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and bring in Rene. He's been gone for a couple of weeks, but he's back. Rene, what are your thoughts on the whole Bobby the Brain Heenan passing away?
Guys, and it is great to be back, Joe. I missed you guys so much. I missed the Wrestle Talk family so much, and we'll get into that at some point. But basically, here are my thoughts. As you guys know, I'm a self-confessed novice and babe when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. I've only seen from Bobby what you see in the highlights, maybe going back and watching some stuff on the network, and just listening to the brief highlights that you played there, and hearing other fans, guys like Luke Roberts, guys like Scott Kessler, guys like Sonny Mayo, guys like you, Joe Lance, talk about the impact that this guy had in professional wrestling, and then just looking at the family, the Heenan family. There's really no question that whether you want to call him the greatest manager of all time or one of the greatest managers of all time, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the Weasel, left a lasting impact in professional wrestling, and I think that Triple H encapsulated it best by saying, Bobby, you will never be replaced, meaning many will come along, many will maybe even be similar in a way, but we will never, ever have another Bobby the Brain Heenan, and I look forward to learning more and more about him as I continue down this rabbit hole in my fandom of professional wrestling, guys.
Absolutely. What we're going to do now is to tribute Bobby the Brain Heenan. We are going to do a 10-bell salute. It's really, really sad, but, it's something that we have to do. So we're just going to do this 10-bell salute, and we pray that everybody in Bobby Heenan's family, his widow and his daughter, and just that everybody, in this tough times. All right, gentlemen, I guess that now that that's out of the way, that it's time to get on with the greatest podcast around, don't you think?
Yeah, as hard as I know that's going to be, and I know, Luke, you agree, we do have to carry on. There is so much to discuss. We've got so much to cover on today's show. I want to thank everybody, including one of our wonderful sponsors, the Conspiracy Farm, Jay Hollywood, checking us out tonight. Thank everybody else who's checking us out on the Facebook Live feed. Please tap the screen. Please be sure to share this broadcast. We don't really ask for much here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. We just want to spread the word about the show. Hopefully we can entertain a few more people. Get your guys' minds off of all the tragedies and all the terrible things that are happening, from the hurricane hitting Puerto Rico, the recent earthquake in Mexico. Obviously, we're just coming off of Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Harvey. There's just so much going on that could really dampen your day. So hopefully for these next, hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, we can liven up the mood a little bit. We can have some fun with you as we do what we always do about this time, and keep it official like a referee with a golden whistle, and stay sharp and ready like a number 2 pencil on test day as we cover the worldwide phenomenon that is professional wrestling. But you know what, guys? We can't start to do that. We can't even move a muscle until we do what we always do, and that's pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth, and that's America, damn it.
Oh, say, can you see? And the rocket, red flag. I'll make up for it now.
No, you won't.
For the land of free.
There's a tear in my eye every time.
Every time. Well, as you guys know, the first part of the show, the first half hour or so, we do our high spot segment. We're going to talk about all things professional wrestling. So we want to encourage you guys to be a part of that conversation by dialing 657-383-1521. For those of you who are listening on the replay, we appreciate you being here. Hopefully you guys found us quite easily at www.wrestletalkpodcast.com. We're pretty easy to find. Hey, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Thank you, Asad, for being here as well. So again, www.wrestletalkpodcast.com. And if you want to join us for this first half hour and talk all things pro wrestling, just dial 657-383-1521. As we go into high spots, I want to make sure that we get these phone lines blown up because I want everybody engaged and involved. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw it over to our buddy Luke Roberts. And Luke Roberts, I think you can do a really good job of telling us about a little bit about the special guest that we're going to have on tonight's show, correct?
I can tell you a lot about it. I mean, again, if anybody had the opportunity to look at the Wrestle Talk podcast website, tonight's show is really going to encapsulate the show me state. We're going to have in the first hour, in just a little over 15 minutes, we're going to have accomplished referee, manager, announcer, pretty much done it all in the world of professional wrestling. My good friend Butch Fletcher is going to be on the program in about 15 minutes. And he's going to tell you a lot of great things about professional wrestling. Here's a man who's been around over 40-plus years in the world of professional wrestling. A wealth of knowledge, a wealth of stories. We're going to have a great time with our good friend Butch Fletcher in the first hour. And then the second hour, around 8:30, we're going to have a man who's known throughout the Midwest, currently the two-time Missouri Wrestling Revival Missouri State Champion, the ace that runs the place. Ace Hawkins is going to be on the show. Here's a man who recently won back the MWR Missouri State Championship in a no-DQ match against former champion Brandon Espinoza. We always know Ace Hawkins has a lot on his mind and a lot to say. And again, tonight, our guests are definitely going to bring all sorts of chaos here to the Wrestle Talk podcast. Gentlemen, I know we can more than handle it here at Wrestle Talk.
Absolutely. Joe, so how you feeling about tonight's show, man? I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've been back on together. Are you fired up, man?
Oh, man, I am fired up. I am ready to go. I've got everything in front of me. I got my Coors Light beer. I am good to go. Let's do this thing.
Well, let's go ahead and do the damn thing like Joe said. Again, we want you guys to engage. Joe, what's up, man? Thank you for the congratulations. What we would really love is to have you guys call in. Again, if somebody can type that out for me. Again, the number is 657-383-1521. Joe, do us a favor, man. There's a lot going on in the world of pro wrestling right now, and you're a guy that is all over it. So what would you say are some of the hot topics going on in pro wrestling right now that you want to bring up and discuss?
I would have to say the hottest topic that I can think of right now is our own Wrestle Talk podcast. Rene Martinez is the announcer for KCXW. Congratulations, sir.
Oh, man.
An amazing.
Dude, well, I didn't expect you to say that. I'm a little speechless, as I am speechless about this opportunity on a whole. Just to go into it briefly, and again, guys, if this gets boring, we can just switch to something else. It's totally cool with me. But as you guys know, I've been here with Joe on Wrestle Talk for a little bit over 2 years now. My love and affection for pro wrestling has grown more and more every single day. Thanks to some of my wrestling mentors that I mentioned a little bit earlier, including Sonny Money, Joe, Luke Roberts. I mean, Scott Kessler. I could keep going and going. And I can tell you guys for sure that as a kid, one of the things that I wanted to do when I realized I was never going to be tall enough to play professional basketball was to maybe like be an announcer, a commentator, or an analyst, like on ESPN or something, covering football, basketball, whatever it may be. Obviously, with having a family and kind of having to get a regular old 9 to 5. Some of those things kind of fall by the wayside because you got to do what you got to do and take care of your family. And so when I got the opportunity to be involved with Wrestle Talk, which was one of the coolest things that I've ever gotten to do, some of those other doors started to open up. And as you guys know, here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, we're not the show that is going to spend 2 hours talking about how bad WWE was last night. We're not going to talk about how bad the booking was here, there, or anywhere. That's not what we do here. If that's the podcast you're looking for, you are not at the right place, because that's not how we operate here. We like to uplift, we like to have a good time, and we like to help grow the sport because we love it so much. See, because I've never understood that. How can you love something so much and you spend like almost the whole time talking trash on it? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. What's up, Louise? Hey, shout out to the folks at 3XW. They're having a huge Latino festival this weekend out in Des Moines. Make sure you guys check out 3XW on Facebook. All the information is available to you there. But anywho, the point that I'm trying to make, guys, is that it's opened some doors. We've built some wonderful relationships with so many wonderful promotions, not only in the St. Louis area, but also here in Kansas City. One of those promotions being Kansas City Extreme Wrestling. David Catton, the head trainer of the Extreme Wrestling School, the owner and president Jordan Smiley, Judd and Nate, the guys that are kind of behind the scenes making all this stuff happen when it comes to sponsorships and ticket sales and all that. They've been really, really good to us for a long time. And we were in their corner when they were getting started, and they were in our corner when we were getting started, much like Dynamo Pro, Luke Roberts. And we've gotten to a point now where our relationship is now moving on to the next phase. I guess I'm moving to second base with KCXW for you perverts out there. And the opportunity is to at their October 1st show, Destiny, which is one of their biggest shows of the year. Yours truly will be the ring announcer in the house. So it is both an honor and a pleasure to be invited to be a part of it, even if it is just one. At this point, we've had no further discussions, but I know one thing for sure. I'm going to sell a bunch of tickets, and I'm going to do a kick-ass job when I get there, and that's the bottom line, well, because the Night Owl said so.
Well, I got to tell you something, guys, and I'm just going to throw it out there. That's probably the calmest I've ever heard you, Rene. I'm not kidding. I mean,
I'm humbled, man. I'm humbled.
When you talk about professional wrestling, I mean, again, you got a guy who's got a lot of knowledge here. And again, Rene Martinez, the Night Owl. You hear him here every week on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm going to tell you right now, this man, as he says, he considers himself a babe when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. But I got to tell you right now, here's a man who picks up a lot of knowledge. He works hard each and every day. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you have the opportunity, KCXW, make it a point to check them out, because Wrestle Talk's own, the Night Owl, Rene Martinez, says he's stepping inside the ropes, keeping it official on the microphone right there at KCXW. And Rene, I got to tell you right now, I'm proud of you. It's a great accomplishment. And like I said, we're going to be hearing lots of great things about Rene Martinez. We're going to hear lots of great things about Joe Lance, and we're also going to continue to hear lots of great things on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Gentlemen, I got something that's kind of on my mind. We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks, and hopefully our listeners will chime in as well here. The last go-round, if you will, for now, between Roman Reigns and what we thought was going to be John Cena. And I got to say, I personally, I think Roman Reigns...
Appreciate you, Joe.
He hit it out
Can't
of
wait
the
to
park
see you there.
On Monday night. I think it was one of those where he kind of mirrored the John Cena to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I got to tell you, he was firing on all cylinders Monday night, in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to hear what Joe has to say about this, because I wholeheartedly agree with you. Joe, what did you think about Roman's promo on Monday?
I thought that it was a really, really good promo. I think that Roman Reigns has come a long way in his promos. He has gotten a lot better. The whole promo with John Cena and, comparing him to The Rock, and how when John Cena was facing The Rock, he called out The Rock, said that he didn't love wrestling anymore. He was out of wrestling. He was a movie star, and then yet John Cena wasn't there Monday night. He was filming a movie or something. So, he called him a hypocrite, and it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed that promo. Makes me want to watch that match even more just to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and throw in my 2 cents here as we're looking to get you guys to call in, our faithful listeners, members of the Wrestle Talk family. I think that there is a section or a segment of the wrestling fan universe or the WWE universe, whatever you want to call them, that no matter what he does, they will always poo-poo it. They'll always have something negative to say. And listen, I'm not trying to convince anybody else to be a Roman fan. If you're not a Roman fan, that's fine. There's a lot of guys that other people like that I don't necessarily like. But here's where you lose me. When you're not willing to admit when the guy does a good job, okay? Monday's promo, okay, was he CM Punk? No. Was he The Rock? No. Was he Mankind? No. We're not trying to compare him to those guys. That's why those guys are WWE Hall of Famers, because they are few and far in between to have that kind of skill level. But you guys have got to admit that for a guy that's only 4 years into the business, maybe 5, that was pretty freaking impressive, okay? And if you don't believe so, it's one of 2 things. 1, you didn't watch it, or 2, you're letting your prejudice dictate how you feel about it, because it was very, very good. And for once, it didn't feel like he was trying to remember stuff that they had showed him backstage. And I think it's very encouraging, and it speaks to the trust that he's starting to gain, not only in the ring, because the guy's always been really talented in the ring, but now the trust that he's starting to get behind the microphone, I think it can only spell good things. And for a guy that was a little apprehensive about this match from the get-go, I'm happy to say that, like you said, Joe, this match actually now really intrigues me. Now I'm ready, because not only is it going to be a good wrestling match, now there's some legit emotion in it, and now I'm emotionally invested in seeing who's actually going to turn out and win this match. So let me ask you guys this question. For the sake of those people who may be in a fantasy wrestling league, if you had to make the choice here and you had to decide who you were going to go with, who would you guys pick to win this match on Sunday at No Mercy?
Wow, I don't know where you would. It's this match. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, Rene. I know the Wrestle Talk listeners are probably gonna agree with me here. About a month ago, when this starting to materialize, honestly, I could have cared less.
All right.
But now, in the last couple weeks, it's been going back and forth and back and forth. It's one of those, I'd almost be a game time decision, but I got to tell you right now, if I had to call it right now, right here, I'm gonna go John Cena.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. And I just got a message from Joe, who conveniently decided to go and screen some callers when it's time to make a pick. So we're going to wait for you, Joe, because I believe that we all need to go ahead and try to make a pick, okay? So here's what I got to say about it. Luke Roberts, you are 100% correct. I believe that John Cena, for better or for worse, will get the win on Sunday against Roman Reigns. Do I believe he'll get a clean win over Roman Reigns? Not a chance in hell. Do I believe that John Cena will turn heel and beat Roman Reigns that way? No. But I think that this thing with John Cena is a way of opening up the door for whatever Roman is going to do next. So would I be surprised if John Cena versus Roman Reigns was happening and then Dean and Seth came out and they power bombed John Cena through the table, like kind of they did a couple years ago when they introduced the Shield, and then we saw a reformation of the Shield? That would be pretty cool. But if we're talking about just flat out win or lose, who wins the match technically, I got to go with John Cena. Nightmare Jones, please tell me, who do you think is going to win this match on Sunday?
Yeah, it's really a toss-up. It could be anybody. It could be Cena. It could be Roman Reigns. I am kind of leaning more towards Roman Reigns. I think that Roman Reigns is going to win on Sunday. I'm hoping that what I would love to see is Roman Reigns win, and then they start like a Samoan dynasty stable with Samoa Joe, maybe even if they have to bring the Usos over to Monday Night Raw. Like, how awesome would that be to see a Samoan Dynasty stable?
Well, I guess it would be pretty cool, but the question is, would you prefer to see that, or would you prefer to see, like, the Shield reuniting?
The Shield would be cool to reunite, but the thing is that they've already done it. They've already had the Shield, and I don't think that it would be as spectacular as it was when it first came out.
All right. Well, hey, good insight there from all of you guys, man. I'm totally digging it. We got the Super Freak here saying, and his comments are, Cena could lose this match, and it wouldn't hurt him at all. Roman will win the match. Hey, and that's what makes this so fun, guys. I mean, no matter how you want to try to break it down, obviously these guys are fairly evenly matched. When it comes to like a storyline perspective, it's pretty tough to make a call because you don't necessarily know where they want to go with it afterwards. I can tell you guys one thing for sure. It's going to be a hell of a match, and I think there's a good chance that this match steals the freaking show on Sunday, man. And as good as the card is looking already, that's saying a lot. That really is saying a lot. So I guess we'll have to see how it turns out. We'll see who's eating crow on Wednesday.
Hold up a second here, guys.
Yeah.
Hold up a second here. I'm just looking at it this way. What has happened to Wrestle Talk? I want to tell you right now, in the last couple of weeks, you sit here and you look at it, and Rene, I mean, this is kind of making me scratch my head a little bit. You've been supporting for many months now Roman Reigns and John Cena, and now with Joe, and now it's spinning around. I mean, that's the nature of professional wrestling. I mean, again, you sit there and you look at it, and there's somebody you always support. But now, I mean, again, it's kind of making me scratch my head going, if this is what's up in the high spot segment, what's going to happen with the rest of the night, guys? I mean, again, this is going to tell anything can happen here on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Well, you know what? You make a good point. And listen, my support for Roman Reigns has not wavered at all, Luke Roberts, not even a little bit. But we're talking about helping out those people who may be in some sort of fantasy wrestling league that or maybe they're betting on it or whatever it is. You know, we're here to help. We're here to serve the community. We're here to do our best to support the members of the Wrestle Talk family. And I'm telling you, as much as I love Roman, Cena's going to win this weekend. Just to leave it for you plain and simple. Do I want Roman Reigns to win? Absolutely. But is he? Not a chance in hell. John Cena's going over. You can go ahead and place your bet with your bookie right now.
Well, you know something, guys? I mean, again, that's one of the big things here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. You're always going to hear great insight. You're going to hear great perspectives of things. And, gentlemen, again, high spots always delivering here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And you know what, guys? There's a gentleman who's going to be calling in just a few moments who always has delivered. I mean, again, I feel very fortunate to be around wrestling as long as I have. But this man has been around professional wrestling in some form or another for over 40 years. And, I mean, again, I'll tell you, when I was younger, this was a man that I really looked up to when I was a young man. I mean, really, in my early teens, looking at this guy. I mean, again, I feel it's very fortunate and an honor and a privilege to have our first guest on the program tonight. And Rene, I know you had an opportunity. I know you've been wanting to talk to this man for a while. And Joe, I hope he's on the line. I know he's scheduled to be here. He's always a very punctual individual. Is our first guest on the line, Joe?
He's here. He's here and he's waiting. He's good to go.
All right. Well, Rene, if you'd allow me the honor and the privilege, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest here this evening on the Wrestle Talk podcast, a man who's been around the St. Louis professional wrestling scene.
Peggy, what's up? Thank you for watching. Welcome to the show. Tap the screen, share the broadcast. That's all we ask. Hopefully you're entertained. We're getting ready to get into Butch Fletcher. It's going to be a great interview.
A manager, an announcer, a promoter, owner of a wrestling school. I mean, this man has done it all in professional wrestling. A man that I definitely have to say I idolize, a man I respect, a man I've known for a long time, and I feel very fortunate to be here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast to bring him to the Wrestle Talk family. Ladies and gentlemen, and let's make sure we get the introduction done the right way. Joe, let's go ahead and hit it for our first guest.
Hi there. I'm on my way, I'm making it.
Welcome
Oh,
to Wrestle Talk.
God.
Here's Heenan.
That introduction was just way. I got no other way. I'm going to disappoint y'all now. It's, you know, I just feel like you doomed me there, Luke. But no,
Butch, I got to tell you right. Go ahead.
No, but no, it's been fun. And Luke, I got to tell you this much: I watched you go from a gangly, awkward kid all the way up through the ranks here, and it was definitely a pleasure to be able to work with you, especially through the Max years.
Well, Butch, again, I got to say it's been an honor and a privilege, and as I said earlier on, a man that I definitely have the great amount of respect for. I mean, here's a man who's done a lot, he's seen it all, he's done it all. Like Frank Sinatra, he definitely did it his way, and I know that the Wrestle Talk family, all the listeners of the podcast, have had a lot of things that they wanted to ask you, Butch, but I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to my good broadcast colleague, Rene Martinez. I know, Rene, you've got a lot that you'd like to talk about with Mr. Fletcher here this evening.
No, absolutely. Butch, thank you for making some time for us, man. How you doing tonight?
Hey, pretty good. I got myself caught up in some traffic jam here in St. Louis. Had to pull over. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a Hardee's in South St. Louis.
It's all good, man. Hardee's is Hardee's is pretty good, man. White Castle personally is a little bit better, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, you know, I with the things going on around here in St. Louis, traffic's kind of weird anyway. Trying to get around sometimes, especially during the evening, and I let myself get caught up in some stuff, and you know how it goes.
No, absolutely. I know how it goes, and you know what? You obviously have a great amount of energy and passion for professional wrestling. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about really the hottest topic in professional wrestling. And no, it's not me doing the announcing gig. I know you guys are giving me a little bit of credit for that, and I appreciate it. But no, it unfortunately is the passing of the WWE Hall of Famer and really just overall wrestling legend, Bobby the Brain Heenan. As a guy that's been involved in the business for so long, Butch, can you kind of give us your thoughts on the passing of Bobby and maybe some positive memories that you have of him?
Well, yeah, there was actually, you know, it's funny because there was nobody that could even come close to touching Bobby Heenan as far as being a performer, being a wrestler, being a guy who had precise timing almost. The timing's something a lot of people don't realize. You know, you do something that's one thing, but if you do it a certain way, especially when you're taking in the timing part of it, that Bobby was a master at that, and he was almost perfect with it. Bobby just was my hero as a manager. I mean, I would have liked to have been able to have spoke like him, but it would look really bad, you know. So you know, but I did steal a lot from Bobby. I'll admit that, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there who have, whether they admit it or not. Bobby Heenan's touched just about every wrestler that's doing anything right now in the business.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, everybody kind of shares that sentiment, and we want to continue to encourage the listeners of the Wrestle Talk podcast to call in by dialing 657-383-1521. Butch, obviously, in your years in the business, you've gotten an opportunity to work around the who's who of professional wrestling, you know, in a town like St. Louis that has such a rich history. As you probably may have heard, you might have actually even been there. Just last weekend or the weekend before, we had a very special induction into the St. Louis Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. We were fortunate enough to be given some tickets by our friends over at Missouri Wrestling Revival, and from what I hear, all things went very, very well. So when we're talking about a guy getting inducted, we're talking about Bob Backlund. I'm curious, do you have any experience or any memories of Bob Backlund, who just went into the Hall of Fame there in St. Louis?
Well, actually, none personally, but I mean, I was actually there when he won when he originally won the title, the Missouri State Championship. When he won the Missouri State Championship, and then he came back and he won it another time too. And during one of those parts, now you got to keep in mind here in St. Louis, okay, Jack Briscoe was always a face. He was the ultimate face above all faces, and his veneer never cracked, his veneer, but he wrestled Bob Backlund for the Missouri title, and by the time the match was over, you could kind of see the heel side of Briscoe come out, because Briscoe defeated him, and it was with some kind of questionable tactics, and I'm sure they weren't real crazy about it in the office by Briscoe doing that, but he really kind of had no choice. He had to go with what the fans were doing, and the fans were just booed him, at that point. But he fortunately came back and saved face, so it all kind of worked out. But boy, it was a little weird there seeing Briscoe being booed in Kiel Auditorium,
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I never had the fortune of being able to go to the Kiel. And I'm telling you, between the Kiel and the Chase, there's so much history there. And I know that you were a regular at both as a child. So I'm curious, before I send it off to my partner, Joe, what were those memories like? Because even till today, I mean, you listen to guys like Luke Roberts, Herb Simmons, the guys that are in tune with the history of the wrestling in St. Louis, and people talk about it, as if it was like Madison Square Garden of pro wrestling. So I'm curious, what were your experiences like?
Well, my experiences is more as a kid. I mean, I grew up with wrestling at the Chase, of course, on TV, and it was done in the Channel 11 studios during the time I was watching during the 70s, and it went back to the Coruscant room at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel for a brief time, and I went to a few of the tapings. There was some of the first matches I actually went to live as a teen, because they did have a age restriction of 16, so I was getting in there at 14, 13 years old because I was a big guy, but they did have an age restriction on there, so it was kind of tough sometimes to get in. But then they moved the tapings of the show, which really wasn't that far, because Channel 11 and the Chase Park Plaza were all interconnected. They were owned by the same people, by the Copplers. And they moved over to Channel 11. They were basically doing shows from Channel 11, and that was where a guy like me, I like to take pictures, and I started taking pictures, and it was perfect in there. I mean, you had a studio environment there. You're behind the lights, and you're shooting up there. It's perfect for taking pictures and stuff,
Man, that must have been tremendous for you, man. I appreciate you sharing that. Joe, I'm going to have you jump on in here, see if you got any questions or comments for Butch, because I know you're kind of an old-school wrestling fan yourself, working as a referee these days up in West Virginia, man. So why don't you pop on in here with your thoughts?
Absolutely. One of my questions, as I was looking up some background, you became friends with somebody by the name of Juanita Wright, also known as Princess Darkcraft. Can you tell me about that friendship?
Yeah, it was kind of cool, actually. Juanita worked at Channel 11. She didn't work for Channel 11. She kind of was, I guess you could say, in a volunteer role or something. I never quite understood the connection, but she was the one who took tickets at the door, and I got to be friends with her, and we got to talking and stuff, and I eventually got to where I could get into TV with just giving her some pictures and stuff like that. And, it just we became real good friends after that. And she kept telling me she wanted me to come down to this place it's locally here. It's no longer around. It's called Finneker's down in suburb of St. Louis called Baden. And I went to Baden, and I went there, and I took pictures of her, and there were guys there who were like, "Hey, you need to get into this." And I entertained the thought of actually being a referee, but I never really wanted to wrestle. And I wound up wrestling off and on through my whole career, I guess you could say, and I wasn't that good at it, to be honest with you, but I had some great guys in the ring that could help cover anything that I was a mess on.
You know what? That's always good, right, Joe?
And Juanita, she was just a sweetheart. She helped me through a lot of through a lot of the getting my foot in the door type things, and she was really a good person. And God bless her. She's, when she died, I was like in a funk for about a week. It was just completely devastating. And of course, she went on to become Sapphire in WWE, which was kind of funny because I remember I watched a replay because they said she had been on. I can't remember. I think it was a Monday Night Raw, maybe, that Dusty Rhodes came out and picked her out of the audience. And I remember I was watching a replay. It was like 2:00 in the morning or something like that. Sitting there watching TV, just crying like a baby, saying, "Man, she made it! Man, she made it!"
That's cool, man.
That was great. That's one of the best feelings in the world, man.
Absolutely. My next question before I throw it back to Luke Roberts is, you've been a referee, you've been a wrestler, you've been a manager, but you also became the promoter of Mid-America Extreme Professional Wrestling, and also that was a wrestling school. What made you want to start a wrestling school?
Well, it actually kind of mixed in together. I had a place when I left the promotion I was at the time because I just wanted to do more, and I wasn't getting it done where I was. So me and a few of the other guys, we all got together and started saying, "Hey, let's put this together." And I had a place I wanted to use as a venue that was an old school that I could never get the proper paperwork to get to use the gymnasium and stuff. But I did work out a deal with the guy where I worked for him, and we managed to get a classroom, and we managed to get a ring, which was really a tight fit in an old school classroom, because this school was built in 1904, and
old school indeed.
Yeah, old school. Yeah, talk about old school. Yeah, that is old school. And I wanted to kind of bring the guys back to a little. We had all these guys who could fly, who could do top ropes stuff, who could. I wanted to bring it back to actually being able to show the fans how to wrestle. And get in the ring and actually wrestle instead of doing all this stuff. But I kind of evolved with it. I kind of learned too. It wasn't like I was steadfast, and I kind of learned that has a place and a time and everything. So you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But in my case, it was. Yeah, and in my case, it was a good lesson. I mean, we did it for 13 months basically, and I got to a point where I had a lot of personal issues. My mother had passed away. I was in charge of her estate and everything, and I couldn't juggle the responsibility of that with the responsibilities of the wrestling, which a lot of people don't realize that's a full-time plus job. If you're out there, you're promoting wrestling, you're out there putting up posters, you're out there contacting media, you're trying to get venues for future shows, you're trying to secure at least one place. We were lucky, we had two places we did regular shows at that people knew they were going to be there. Like the first Saturday of the month, we were going to be at so-and-so, then the third Saturday of the month, we're going to be at so-and-so, we're going to be at so-and-so too. So it worked out really well for us, but the promoting got to be kind of a hassle, and I really wasn't mentally prepared for it. So I got out of it, and I closed the promotion down.
Okay. Luke Roberts, I'm sure you have a couple more questions.
Well, I can tell you right now, I got a bunch of questions to ask Butch. I mean, again, Butch, I know you talked about the past, about how you got into professional wrestling, and you talked about all the years gone by. You talked about forming Mid-America Extreme Pro Wrestling. And again, a lot of wrestlers did have time at Mid-America Extreme. I mean, when you look at some of the names that have been at Mid-America Extreme promotion, you have wrestlers like Mephisto. You have wrestlers like Justin the Iceman Wade. Matter of fact, years and years ago, former alumni of Mid-America Extreme, now Dynamo Pro Wrestling in-ring official Scott Ramsey was a part of Mid-America Extreme Pro Wrestling, now part of Dynamo Pro. I mean, again, the names that came through Mid-America Extreme, I mean, again, it was definitely a lot of the names that really made the next generation of the professional wrestling scene. Do you have a connection there? My question is this. I mean, again, you've been around all over the Midwest, being in professional wrestling, or being a referee and a manager all over the place. I know you've come in contact with a lot of people, a lot of people who've made that journey all the way up, like you talked about with Sapphire Winnie Wright. Can you share with us a couple of stories about some of the people you met along your professional wrestling journey?
Well, yeah, there's, I worked with guys like Cowboy Bob Orton I worked on shows with. There's Chris Adams, Terry Gordy. They all came through St. Louis through a local promoter here, so I went ahead. I had the opportunity to work, which was a great experience with Terry Gordy. Heck of a nice guy, gone too soon as always, but one of my stories, one of my good stories, I guess, was Bulldog Bob Brown out of Kansas City. We managed to get him on a show, and we did a doubleheader. Well, actually, we did 2 days in a row at different locations. One was in northern Missouri, and one was up in Iowa. And we had a spot where the guy I was managing left Bob sitting with his head and shoulders out on the ring apron. Well, I come over, give him a big forearm to the chest, and pushed him back in the ring, and I thought, okay, that was okay. And Bob comes up to me after the match, and he says, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "What? What happened?" He goes, "You hit like a goddamn girl." And I'm like, okay, I'll remedy that. So the next night, I just, we had the same spot pretty much laid out, and I come across the ring, or I come across the apron outside when he was laying there, and I just blasted him as hard as I could. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to be so mad at me. He's going to be tearing the place up. This is a guy I saw wrestle Fritz Von Erich in the Madison Square Garden. Okay, so I saw videos of that. This is a guy who to me was kind of a legendary person. And I came into the dressing room, and I was kind of looking around like, okay, where's he at? Where's he going to jump out on me at? And he came up to me, and he shook my hand. He goes, that's how you throw a punch. And I'm like, I wasn't throwing a punch. I was throwing a forearm. He said, nonetheless, that's the way you do it. He had a big old red mark on his chest, and I thought, man, he's going to be so angry, man. And instead, he turned out to be real happy about it. So I guess I learned, if I was hitting like a girl, I needed to straighten that up. So that got straightened up real quick.
Well, I got to tell you, Butch, when you talk about, again, you're talking with a guy here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, Butch Fletcher, a man who's been around professional wrestling for the better part of 4 decades now. And Butch, I do want to touch, before I go ahead and throw things back over to my colleague Rene. My other question is, I know as of late, you've kind of taken kind of a step back from being the manager, being the referee, and now you've kind of found a home once again behind the microphone. Can you tell me what it's like with all the years of experience, what it's like to be able to, as several announcers,
hey, I appreciate that, Peggy.
Provide the soundtrack.
Totally appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tapping the screen, and especially thank you guys for sharing this broadcast. It means a lot to us.
Well, yeah, I've been actually showing up for some shows at RCW now. I've missed a couple of them due to health issues. I've had some pretty major health issues the past couple of months, but I plan on getting back together on that and getting in there and talking these guys up. It's it's really good to see the new guys coming up, because it's like, well, first off, I like seeing the new guys come up anyway, because it's kind of like, hey, I knew him win, you know. Kind of weird. One of the connections there, Glenn Jacobs, who wrestles as Kane in WWE. I refereed his first match, and I was his first manager too. So
what?
You know,
that's incredible.
Yep.
Freaking Kane,
he
man.
was actually wrestling. He was wrestling as Angus King in the RCW, in the Central States Wrestling Alliance, and he was very good. He also wrestled up north. He held the title up north for a little while, and then he was picked up by, well, first he was picked up by WCW and had a couple of matches with him. He came over to me one time, and I hope I'm not talking out of school on this, but he come up to me one time in the locker room and he goes, "Hey, Butch, I went down to Atlanta." He said, I worked some TV down there. And I'm like, "Great, you know, that's cool." He said, "Yeah, I'm not telling too many people though." He said, but I did the job. And I said, "Well, that happens." I said, "Who'd you wrestle?" He said, "Well, I wrestled 2 matches." He says, "I wrestled against Sting." I said, "You wrestled the WCW World Heavyweight Champion at the time, and you're upset because you did the job." And he was all upset about it. And I told him, I said, "Don't be upset, man. You got exposure." I said, "And that's what you need in this business." So, you know, and then he went on to go to WWE and, you know, all that, but he went through the USWA before that and all, you know.
Wow.
It was kind of
fantastic.
Different, but I can actually say I knew him win, you know, and he's a great guy, and I wish him nothing but the best. I understand he's into politics now. He's tried to run for mayor down in Tennessee. I hope he's successful in that, because he'll be great at it. I know that.
Wow, Butch, just an incredible story. I mean, just as we promised. I mean, when we were hyping up this show, Butch, we said, "Hey, look, we're gonna have a couple of guys that are gonna represent the Show Me State really, really well." Actually, today's episode is called Show Me, or the Show Me State, or something along those lines. And just you sharing those stories is absolutely phenomenal. We did want to join you to be a part of a segment that we do every single week called the Shoot and Shout segment. Just gives us an opportunity to get out of our comfort zone, maybe go off a little bit, shoot a little bit on something that may be bothering us. Doesn't necessarily have to be wrestling related. But before we get to that, let's have that music queued up and ready. I want to ask you one last question, Butch. What would you say is the number one reason, or what is the number one thing that keeps you engaged and in love with professional wrestling? Because it's obviously changed so much over the last 25 or 30 years that you've been involved with it. What is it? What is that one thing that just keeps you coming back, man?
Seeing what's next. And I know that sounds real generic and kind of a cop-out answer, but seeing what's next. I mean, I've been watching a lot of New Japan and things like that. I think they're kind of hopefully they're going to be the wave of the future here, you know. And New Japan's a very, very good group. They're young people. They're innovative. The people who promote them are definitely have their act together. And I'd just like to see him do some stuff and take off with it, because the younger guys are coming up with new stuff, and it's kind of hard to nowadays because everybody's done it, you know. So I like to watch the newer guys and see what they can come up with, just to see what they can do.
Absolutely, man. And I have to say I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, between New Japan, Ring of Honor, Evolve, and Lucha Underground, man, there's so much new stuff happening. And I think for the same reason I love wrestling, continue to love wrestling, is because there's always something new on the horizon, and it's very, very exciting. As a matter of fact, a good friend of ours, our buddy Brandon Lewis from Wrestle Tech, wrote a blog for us, which is available to you guys right now at the WrestleTalkPodcast.com, talking about how New Japan is starting to make an impact, not just on television here in the U.S., but they had a huge show just a couple of months ago out in California that sold out, I think, in under an hour. So, yeah, make sure you guys check out that article. But, yeah, anything like that, anything independent or anything in between WWE and independence, like I said, I named off a couple of promotions there. You guys definitely want to take some time to check those out. Now, with that being said, Butch, would you be willing and able to join us for the Shoot and Shout segment this evening?
I'm more than ready for it.
All right, well, let's cue that music and get in the Shoot and Shout tonight. What?
Wrong one.
Wrong button!
Everybody's exhausted. You don't really know why, but you want to take the ride. If someone's head off, you know you make contact. And if you wish to ride, your life is no contract. You best bet it. Stay away, motherfucker. It's just one of those days.
All right, Nightmare Jones, you know what to do, man. Why don't you kick off Shoot and Shout for us tonight, man?
Absolutely. I would definitely do that. What makes me mad, what really ticks me off is when somebody is supposed to hit one button and they hit a complete opposite button and totally screw everything up.
Oh, you know, that's a good one. Luke Roberts, go ahead, man. What do you got tonight?
Well, I got to tell you right now, my Shoot and Shout is, I mean, again, it's going to be kind of from the heart a little bit tonight. I mean, again, with all the things that are going on in professional wrestling, the biggest thing, and I know a lot of us kind of look at it as time goes on, make sure to stay in contact with one another. Keep in talk with your friends. Be interactive with your friends and your family. Because, I mean, again, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, there's been a lot of things going on in pro wrestling, outside of pro wrestling. Just make it a point. Don't try your best not to lose touch with people. But I mean, again, as I said, when you have friends, your friends and your family are the ones you can turn to when you need things the most. And I said, just make sure you keep in contact with them because, like I said, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next.
Amen, Luke. Amen.
Amen and amen to that. All right, Butch, you're up, man. Why don't you go ahead and close us out, man? What is your Shoot and Shout for tonight, man? It can be. It doesn't necessarily have to be wrestling related, man.
Well, my Shoot and Shout it's about wrestling. It's about wrestling. The I guess you call them the smarks online. You know, they have to analyze every move. Monday Night Raw, Tuesday night SmackDown Live. You know, they have to analyze every move and give it away. They have to say, "Oh, this is how that was done. Oh, this is how Vince McMahon bled last week. Oh, this is how so and so did this and so did that." Man, stop it! You know, let the fans do their suspension of belief, as Mick Foley says. You know, don't give up every magician's secret. It just ruins the show later.
Absolutely, and you know what? I'm going to piggyback off of you, Butch, because that was such a good one. You know what really chaps my ass and makes me want to shoot and shout? All those idiots who are witnessing something amazing like this thing that Dolph Ziggler is doing with, you know, calling himself the best in-ring performer of all time in the intros. And you know what they start with, Butch? CM Punk. CM Punk. Oh my goodness, it's the same people. It's the smarks. It's the people that want to take over the show and draw attention to themselves. Guess what, smarks? CM Punk left you. He went to UFC and took AJ with him. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't give a damn about the WWE. So why don't you guys stop pandering to a guy that couldn't give a damn about you? And not only are you doing that, you're disrupting the current show that actually is relevant. CM Punk hasn't been in WWE for over 4 years. Get freaking over it, you smarts. You're a bunch of bums. We're tired of you. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the show. We're not doing that here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. We love professional wrestling, local, independent, and all the way around the world. And we're going to continue to support it the way that we always have, along with our friends from the Wrestle Talk family, which now includes our buddy Butch Fletcher.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, no problem. But one last bit of business, Butch. How do people keep tabs on you, my friend? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Or are you still on MySpace?
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm mostly a Facebook person, and I don't do a lot of social media outside of Facebook because basically it just gets complicated after a while, and you wind up with a bunch of people who who wind up hating you for you saying something that you never ever meant to say in the first place. So I'm a Facebook person. I'm on Facebook. So yeah.
Butch Fletcher on Facebook. Yeah, no doubt. Butch Fletcher on Facebook, guys. And Butch, very last question before we let you go. Did you see the poster of you on our Wrestle Talk emblem? Because I think that picture of you was quite flattering, my friend.
I loved it. I loved it, man. That was taken a long time ago when I was doing a gimmick called. I was making belts for the promotions. And I got stiffed on a belt, so I changed it around. I made it a champion of managers belt. And I was doing the manager of champions, champion of managers thing. And somebody took a picture of me with it. And the belt eventually got pretty much destroyed, but I wound up giving it to another manager I worked with. I had a lot of respect for when he stepped down. There was Big Al Stevens here locally, and he... I wound up giving the belt to him, and that's about it, Oh, I did give a copy of it to Sapphire. I made a copy of it, and I gave it to Sapphire, but I put Sapphire stones on hers.
Absolutely fantastic. Butch, we thank you for your time. On behalf of Luke Roberts, Joe Lance, and myself, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on. Just promise us you'll come again sometime. Thank you, guys, and God bless. I hope y'all are doing well and continue to do well. Hey, God bless you too, Butch. Hey, make sure you stay tuned into the show. About 8:25, we do a little bit of a prayer segment with our buddy Big Daddy P. We'll catch you then. Take it easy. Gotcha, brother. See you, bud. Okay. See ya. Wow, guys. Would you check that out? It looks like the members of the Wrestle Talk family absolutely love Butch Fletcher. Make sure you guys look him up on Facebook. Tell him how much you enjoyed having him on the show. That way we can secure him coming back again. Guys, it is about time for break. Joe, why don't you go ahead and throw us the break, buddy?
Absolutely. We can't go to break without having the Bobby the Brain Heenan theme song.
Smarts do suck. What, CM Punk being behind? Yeah, he's mad as hell. Yeah, ain't he? Yeah, he's mad. Sorry, Phil. I don't even call him CM Punk. That's Phil back there. Suicidal tendencies. You guys are cracking me up.
Wrestling fans, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat talking at you, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the break. Very, very short break, but now that means one thing and one thing only. It is now time for the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter segment. Are you ready for this, Rene? Are you ready for this night out?
You know what? I don't know if I am.
Things have been going on.
Dude, I don't know if I am, because right now the phone lines are absolutely out of control. I can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different callers from the FWWC. We got about 15 minutes to get through all of them, and we're going to. That's right. And we got one down there at the bottom that I'm not even sure who that is. So we're going to go and figure that out. But I'm going to go ahead and kick this off by saying this. Just last night, Board of Directors announced that the United States Championship match has been set in stone based off some of the matches that happened recently. It will be the Battle Cat versus the Heel Deal versus Nightmare Jones versus Mas Mata in your main event. at FWWC No Mercy. Then we're going to have a women's championship match, recently vacated women's championship between Katana, La Chupacabra, the Enchantress, the Goddess, and La Muerta. We will crown a new women's champion this Sunday night. Of course, we've got Massacre versus Tank. This is Steampunk Collective beef that's been brewing for a long time. Tank has put some pretty serious stipulations out there. Massacre put some pretty serious stipulations out there. None of those really shook out. Massacre has a new proposal on the table, so we're going to see how that works out. And then, of course, we've got the Saviors of Funk going against the Hefty Boys. One of those two teams will move on to Hell in the Cell to face Enchanting Chaos for the UXT Tag Team Championships. And then, of course, we have Richard Priest of La Familia Worldwide and the Last Descendant Julius Cairo facing off in an unsanctioned match, competing for 2 unsanctioned belts, which are known as the Millionaires Championships. So much going on, guys, in the FWWC, one of the greatest promotions in the whole wide world, and guess what? They don't even actually wrestle. That's why we call it fantasy wrestling. Make sure you guys go to WrestleTalkPodcast.com, get a little bit more information on fantasy wrestling, and join us if you feel the appetite to do so. But with that being said, I got a lot of callers to get through. So Nightmare Jones, are you back with us? Because I'm going to go ahead and let you choose who we're bringing on first, because everybody is going to be bringing the heat tonight. I've got no question about that.
Absolutely. Let's do it like this way. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch your tug about his toe. Super Freak. All of this should be interesting. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing spectacular, Nightmare Joe. Hey, Rene, what's happening, player?
Hey, what's up, Pippin? How's it been, man?
Let me tell you how it's been. I'm comparing myself to a tire. You know the difference between a tire and 365 condoms?
No, we don't.
One is a good year. The other is a great year. Party time.
Super Freak, we obviously all love your shenanigans, and we could do this all day, but here, listen. Oh my goodness. We all love your shenanigans, and we could do this all day, Super Freak, but listen, you, sir, have been involved in some controversy lately, and we want you to go ahead and try to clear this up for us. So, back at the last pay-per-view at UXT TakeOver Brooklyn, you were assaulted by Julius Cairo. He dressed up and pretended to be you and cost Team UXT the match against the main roster. Now that it's been a couple of weeks, how are you feeling about that? I mean, is there still animosity between you and the other members of UXT, or does everybody clearly understand that that was Julius Cairo's doing? Can you shed some light on that for us?
Well, you see, I'm going to be honest with you. I would think everybody would recognize that there's a difference between me and Julius Cairo. Number one, I got way more swagger than Julius Cairo. I got more style than Julius Cairo. I got more personality than Julius Cairo. Julius Cairo ain't nothing. Julius Cairo is an uptight butthole. Every time you go to the bathroom, all you hear is, that's how tight he is, Rene. He ain't got nothing on me when it comes to swagger. Look. Oh, you can't see me right now. But I got Fletcher with me right now. Ain't that right?
Oh, jeez Louise.
Don't say that.
Felicia, huh? Jeez. Well, Super Freak.
She would talk, but she's busy right now.
You know my kids listen to this show, right? I mean, come on, Super Freak. Well...
You know you want to come over here and party with the Super Freak, baby. Everybody want to party with the Super Freak, baby.
Well, I would, Super Freak, but I have a show to do. Let me ask you this last question so we can move on to the next caller. Super Freak, what are your plans for FWWC No Mercy?
You know, I ain't thought about it because I actually just had a match right before I got on the line. It was interrupted by this phone call. I was having a match. Hold on a minute.
Wait, what do you mean a match? We didn't have any matches booked tonight. What are you talking about?
No, I do have a match booked tonight. Me and Tiffany McGee. What? Never mind. I ain't gonna put my business in the street.
Oh my goodness. All right. Get him off the line. We got to move on here. Super Freak, thank you. Oh dear goodness. Come on, can we move on here? Jeez, Lou. Joe, really? That's how we got to kick off the Okay, you know what? Let's. Oh yeah. Too much celebrating, not enough fighting from the Super Freak, if you ask me. But anyway, let's move on to the next caller. Jeez, Louise, this guy with this Goodyear joke, killing me over here.
The next caller is somebody that has never called in to the show before. I don't even really know who this person is. Katina El Chupacabra?
It's Katana La Chupacabra. Come on, Joe. I thought you were working on your Spanish. What's the matter with you?
Katana. Hello.
Nightmare Jones.
Uh-oh.
It's Katana
Yes?
El Chupacabra. You think you can be a nightmare? I bet I can be your worst nightmare. But I got other business to handle right now. I got a fatal 4-way match with a witchy witch and a goddess that everyone wants to bow to. And then we got this murderer that I have to face Sunday night.
Wow. Well, and for those who aren't caught up, Katana El Chupacabra is one of our newest superstars in the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide chapter. Via the board of directors press conference yesterday, she was added to the Fatal 4-Way for the vacant Women's Championship. Katana, I've got to ask this question. You are the youngest, or I should say the newest member of the chapter that is going to be involved in this match. Do you think that has something to do with the fact that nobody's really picking you for this match? Because it looks like at this point the goddess is heavily favored in the match.
I think after I tear the goddess to shreds and everyone sees her true colors inside, they'll start picking me after this match.
Wow. And what would it mean to you to really become the women's champion, and I think would only be your third or fourth match, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, it looks like I would have to start a new collection along with my body part collection that I started. Which I love shiny things, so I really think I'd start liking these belts coming.
Body parts and shiny things? Oh, geez, Louise. Well, listen, Chupacabra, I got to ask you one last question. You have a very unique look about you. You're very different from everyone else in the FWWC. Do you think that will work to your advantage, or will it be a disadvantage to you as you move forward in your career here in the FWWC?
I think it will work to my advantage. I really think that once everyone gets to see what I can do, that they will actually start liking me.
Oh, okay. And if they don't, I'm guessing you will, like, eat them or something, right?
Well, you know how the chipmunks, they save their food for the winter? I think that's what this collection is coming about. I gotta save my food, the winter's coming.
Oh, my goodness. Jeez. Well, I hope you at least freeze dry it, for God's sakes. Okay, well, Katana, an honor to have you on the show.
No, you are saved. You are saved. I like you, and I love the board of directors. I love you guys. I am not going to touch you guys. It is the people that have these powers, that have these people that like to bow to them and give them belts. I just don't like them guys. I want them on my shelf, and I want them around my waist.
Okay, well, we thank you for your time tonight, Katana Chupacabra. All the best to you this weekend at FWWC No Mercy. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
What in the world is going on?
Aren't you supposed to be screening these people, Joe? I mean, aren't you supposed to be screening that? We went from the
talking about Felicia's busy and whatnot, and then we got this Katana, El Chupacabra, talking about having a body collection. Man, it's time that we get somebody that has a little bit that guy can bring some prestige or something.
Well, anything.
Let's put in this Delegate Westbrook.
Oh, so now we're. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Delegate. One moment. So we're going from a nymphomaniac to like a werewolf killer that collects parts, and now a politician. I mean, what the hell? It's like we're going downhill here. What the hell is going on? Delegate Tank, I'm sorry. I don't. Please don't take that personally. But it's just been a rocky road so far this segment. So welcome to the show. What's up, man?
But I'll bring it back to life.
Oh, please do. I'm drowning over here.
Well, I'll save you there, buddy. How y'all gentlemen doing tonight?
I'm being thrown for a loop here. I got no idea. I got no idea. Tank, let's just go ahead and get right into it here, Tank. You and this issue, this beef that you have with the Atticus family, it's gone on for months and months and months. You've not been successful. Please kind of give us a quick recap of exactly what's happened over these last couple of months, and why is it that you think you haven't been able to defeat anybody in the Atticus family?
Well, the Atticus family is just a weird family. If you really dig deep and look inside of the black box, they're just a weird family. That I think they practice voodooism or something, and they have it out for me because I can be better than them. So that's why I am willing to go full force at No Mercy and beat the Atticus family member Massacre.
Well, Tank, and I'm sorry for the interruption here, Tank, but I gotta ask this question. Something doesn't make sense to me, and everybody else in the FWC, I'm sure is going to agree. You said just now that the Atticus family has it out for you, but I mean, is Massacre not part of the Steampunk Collective? I mean, we hear you say something like that, and then earlier today we heard Professor Coppell saying that if he can't beat Battle Cat in the #1 contendership match for the Hardcore Championship at No Mercy, then he's going to be leaving the Steampunk Collective and the group as a whole. So are we to surmise that maybe things aren't quite as harmonious as they used to be in the Steampunk Collective? Because there seems to be a lot of infighting. I mean, just last week we had Arden Murphy versus Massacre. So can you shed a little bit of light on that?
And we're all together. We're one click unit, but there's always going to be one person who thinks they're better than everybody. It's just what brothers do. But all comes down to it, we're all going to love each other no matter what. We're a family, we're a unit. But when there's, like I said, Massacre in the family, I can't beat them, so that's why I'm going after him. It's nothing but hard love.
Okay, it's fine. Now, last question. Massacre posed another stipulation after the matches that happened this week. Can you tell us what that was and whether you accepted it or not?
So, we didn't get a true winner to have a stipulation. So last night, he throws up that he is still willing to go through with my stipulation, a Hell in a Cell match. And my answer to that is, let's do it. But I also want to add something. If I can, which I know I will, beat Massacre at No Mercy, therefore I become the #1 contender for the Undisputed Legends champion.
Very, very interesting. Well, we'll have to tune in to the FWWC on Facebook to find out what Massacre's answer is. Delegate Tank, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us tonight, man. You have a good one.
You do the same, guys.
All right. Thanks, Sig. All right, and I believe, Nightmare, we got time for just one more caller. We got about 8 people on the line. I'm so sorry for anyone that doesn't get an opportunity to get on. We got to move on to Big Daddy P, and then we got our boy Ace Hawkins, the MWR heavyweight champion, coming on in about 8 minutes. So let's go ahead and throw it to the executive, the head at the table when it comes to any business related to Joker's Wild Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, former two-time UXT champ, former Intercontinental champ, former U.S. champ, this guy's really done it all here in the FWWC. Welcome back to the show after quite a bit of an absence, the one, the only, El Luchador de Kansas City.
What's going on, everybody? How is everybody tonight?
Having a great time, Lucha. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. Man, it's been a while since I've been on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I tried to get on the FWWC tonight on Monday, but obviously everything was being interrupted by La Familia's golden boy Joey Knuckles and his propaganda about what was it? The Untouchables, I guess. Not sure about that one. Either way, it's good to talk to you guys.
No doubt. Well, let me ask you a quick question,
Yeah.
Let me ask you a quick question, Luchador and Nightmare. I'll throw it to here in just a second. Recently, it was announced that Crapel versus Battle Cat at No Mercy. Whoever wins that match, if we have a definite winner, will move on and will make the hardcore match at Hell in the Cell a triple threat. How do you feel, and how do you like Battle Cat's chances against Professor Crapel, who seems to be right on the edge? Luchador, that was a question. Do you have an answer? All right, you know what, Nightmare Jones? We get a nymphomaniac, a weird chupacabra, we get a politician, and then you bring on a mute? Really? This has got to be the worst effed up...
That message was brought to you by your friends in La Familia. The Untouchables are coming.
I'm so sick and tired of this crap. You know what, Joe? We're getting a new intern. I'm sick and tired of this propaganda, dude. It interrupted the FWWC Tonight podcast, which is an hour and a half of nothing but fantasy wrestling. It interrupted tonight's show, and I can't tell you how pissed off I am about this whole situation, man. Honestly, I'm getting tired of it, and it's unnecessary. But with that being said, that was a tough segment. We are going to move on to my very favorite segment of the show every single week. That's right, we're bringing on our boy, Big Daddy P, to give you guys some snippets of truth. Go ahead and hit that music for Big Daddy P, baby.
What's going on, my brothers?
¿Qué pasa, Perry?
What is going on? What's going on? How you doing, sir?
Man, Rene, is it great to hear your voice.
It's been too long, brother. I'm sorry, man. Work and family pulled me away from Wrestle Talk, man.
Dude, I understand. I mean, I'm with you loud and clear, so it's all good. I'm just glad to see that you're back. The Lord has had me sick and through all kinds of stuff over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and now I'm pretty much back in the saddle again, and he is faithful, and all is well. I've got a few prayer requests myself. Did we get any in from the web?
No, Big Daddy P, unfortunately, we did not get any prayer requests this week.
No, you understand that's actually a good thing.
That means things are going well for people?
Because well, there's people who are now going directly to him instead of relying on us to go to him.
You know what? That is a win. We'll take that as a win. I like that. But we still want to encourage people.
Absolutely, I'm taking that as a win.
We still want to encourage people. Big Daddy P does us a huge favor, comes on, does Snippets of Truth with us every single week, and then also is great at web design. Make sure you guys look him up, paintersdream.com, for all your website needs. But Big Daddy P, I'll tell you this much. I know you got some prayer requests. I have a prayer request tonight. My sister-in-law and my brother-in-law just had their brand new baby born this morning. And apparently everything is fine. I want you to pray and petition the Lord, please, for him to have a long and healthy life. That would be very, very important to me if you could do that.
Of course. I can do that. And I just want to say one thing before we pray. I want to give a shout out to Vince McMahon for bringing it back like he did.
That was awesome.
Man, he's awesome. And I think they were testing something. I'm not going to say on the air what I think.
Okay.
But that was purposeful.
Why are you being so coy, Big Daddy P?
When he headbutted him.
Okay.
Did you notice the headbutt? That all of a sudden there was a perfect circle on his forehead?
So
there's something there.
Yeah. Maybe they're planning something pretty.
I don't know what, but it
could be.
But nobody does it like him, dude.
Well, you put. Hey, listen. As much credit as I want to give Vince, man, Kevin Owens had just as much to do. I mean, and not to take anything away from Vince or to even disagree with you, but I think Kevin Owens was the guy to pull that angle with, and he did it masterfully. What
a privilege he got. Do you know how many wrestlers have not been able to get their hands on Vince McMahon? Just to say that they could. Now he's going to be a part of history that no one can ever take away from him. Stone Cold did it. The Rock did it. Hulk Hogan did it. Many guys got to him. But now Kevin Owens, that was an upgrade for him, big time. Not everybody gets a shot at the chairman. But did you by any chance happen to notice he wasn't filling out his coat as normal? The back of his jacket had a lot more air than normal.
I did not notice.
I was the only one who noticed that.
I didn't notice that. I did not.
Watch again. Go look. Because he's always had custom suits.
Right.
But that suit coat he's had for a while, but the back of it was not fit like it normally was. He's losing some weight.
Well, let's. We've already had enough losses in wrestling here as of late. Let's just hope we got Vince around for a very, very long time.
No doubt. Well, let's pray, and we can get this evening going. Father God, I thank you so much for your faithfulness and for your love and all that you do each and every day to provide for our needs. Father, I want to bring into the petition right now Rene's family that has now grown. And Father, I just pray that you would continue to guard and protect them, that you would give this baby a nice, long, and healthy life. Father, I thank you that you were faithful to bring this baby onto the earth and give breath life, nashama, to this baby. Now I would ask that you would open every door that needs to be opened, close every door that needs to be closed. Father, I also want to continue to pray for Joe's dad, that you would continue to strengthen him. And Father, I bring to your petition tonight the states of Texas, Florida, and the country of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, Father. You tell us in your word that your words are a messenger. And as I taught tonight, Father, in Amos 3:6, if a calamity happens in a city, has the Lord not done it? Father, we know that you control the wind, you control the storms, you control the rushing of the water. And Father, I know that you love each and every person that you brought onto this earth with an everlasting love. I pray that you would comfort them during this time. Father, that as you know, there is no food in many countries right now because of these disasters. And I pray, Father, that you would give them the nutrients necessary to sustain their life on this earth. I thank you so much for this podcast and for this opportunity to share your goodness and love with those that are listening. If there's anyone out there, Father, who is without you, without hope, without eternal life, that they would hear that you sent yourself in the flesh in the form of Jesus Christ and gave yourself up and went through 3 hours of complete torture so that you could be hung up on a cross and that you could die for all the sins of the world, redeeming us and giving us the ability to have eternal life through faith alone in the work that you did alone. The Bible says, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and we shall be saved. We recognize the fact, Father, that these things have been written that we would believe, and that by believing we would have eternal life. Continue to be with those that are listening, Father, that have not called upon you, that you continue to strengthen them. Continue to heal those, Father, that have an injury from wrestling. Pray for all the wrestling promotions, Father, that entertain us each and every week, that you would continue to make provision for them, that they too would have everything that needed to fulfill the show, the gift that you've given them. We thank you so much and we love you, and we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen indeed. Big Daddy P, PaintersDream.com, wonderful guy, awesome contributor, and more importantly, big brother to the Wrestle Talk podcast. We love you, Big Daddy P.
I love you guys very much. Have an absolutely awesome weekend. Looking forward to No Mercy. Looking forward to this absolutely embarrassing match for Brock Lesnar. It's going to be a mess, dude. I mean, you've got two guys that do not have any bit of they're not gracious at all. Every move they do is, I mean, they could put him into Suplex City 10 times. He'll be so tired from lifting Braun. I don't think he'll get over 6 if he gets that many at all. He's done this weekend. Braun Strowman will be the Universal Champion.
There you go.
So that when we get closer, my guy, Roman Reigns, will finally get his championship that he so deserves. No matter what the world says, I don't care. He is the man, and that is his yard. And that's what Big Daddy P says.
Boom. Go ahead and call your bookie. Hey, you heard it here first. Call your bookie. Place a bet. Big Daddy P just gave you the winner for this weekend's main event at FWWC, or I should say WWE No Mercy. Again, Big Daddy P, we love you, man. Thanks for coming on again.
Love you too, guys. See you later.
And you know what, Joe? I know Big Daddy P covered a lot in a little bit, man, but the injuries, man, they're mounting, bro. The big calf injury, obviously. So got the Revival a little bit under the weather, and then today we got the news that Davey Richards is going to be out for the rest of the 2017. So don't expect to see him on TNA, Evolve, or really anywhere else. So man, it's really tough to see guys. Obviously, Mark Sterling here locally. One of the Regal twins, I think it's Jet, has been hurt for a while as well, or is it Jax? I apologize for not remembering. So yeah, man, the injuries are mounting, and it's always hard to stay on top of your game when you can't be there to be in the game due to injury, man. Prayers and good vibes to all of those gentlemen and anybody who may be wrestling this upcoming weekend, including our friends over at 3XW. With that being said, Joe, I know we've got Luke Roberts back on the horn, man. It is that time. I've been waiting all day, man. We get to talk to the MWR heavyweight champ, Ace Hawkins, baby. So, Luke Roberts, welcome back. Let's go ahead and do this introduction properly for the champ. How about that?
That'll work. Like I said, I want to make sure I do this right because I know if not, I'm never going to hear the end of it. Tonight, here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, it is our extreme honor and privilege to have a man who demands that you cheer for him, a man who has turned the professional wrestling world upside down with his high-flying, high-impact offense. Ladies and gentlemen of the Wrestle Talk podcast, we would like to welcome to the show this evening the two-time MWR Missouri State champion, Ace Hawkins.
How many places have I seen? They all been torn apart. How many faces have I seen? Red light fade in the dark. Only the ride.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going good. Thank you for agreeing to come on to our show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Ace Hawkins.
Luke
So awesome. Sorry for interrupting you, Joe. I'm really, really excited. Ace, been a long time coming, man. You're a guy that I personally have seen at a few shows here throughout the Midwest, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to talk to you for the very first time. And it's funny in a way because we as a show, just brought up the injury to Davey Richards, which will keep him out of action in 2017, man. So if it's okay with you, let's start there. You started and made your debut back in May of 2010, but I mean, you were trained by the who's who of wrestling in the Midwest. I mean, we're talking Dingo, we're talking Brandon SB Espinoza, and of course Davey Richards, man. Where did you get your start, man? Because obviously you've got a passion for pro wrestling, and it's served you very, very well as you are now the current MWR heavyweight champion.
I started off in DuPont, Illinois. I would start shows. I would help set up the ring, and then what I got for that was I got to help. After getting to help, I got to train in the ring before their shows. And in this case, I used training very loosely.
All right.
They taught me the basics. They taught me how to do a lot of things to get on my feet and started. After probably 8-9 months of that, I did a seminar with Mike Quackenbush in Fairview Heights, Illinois, at an LWA show. LWA is what would go on to become Anarchy. And the Dynamo management was there. And they asked me to come to their school, and that's where I trained under Dingo and Davey Richards.
That's pretty phenomenal, man. And you know what? Not everybody is as fortunate as you are, Ace. I know you're hailing from Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm curious, how did you actually make your way over into the Illinois/St. Louis area?
I've been a military brat my entire life. My grandfather, my father, they were military, and we just made our way out this way.
Oh, very, very cool. Well, make sure you thank them for their service on our behalf. Also, a quick question that I had for you is, you are known by all of your fans throughout the country as the ace that runs the place. You got to tell me, man, where did that originate?
Well, obviously the name, Ace, the clever thing. And then to get buzz, to get people talking, to get people noticing you, you have to be clever. You have to come up with catchy things. Or slightly twist catchy things and make them your own.
Well, I got to say, man, I think it's definitely worked well for you up to this point. I mean, obviously, you've had a lot of success. You continue to make the rounds throughout the country, working for some of the better promotions, really anywhere here in the States, man. You've actually even made it all the way up to the WWE. But before we get into any of that, let me go ahead and throw it to Luke Roberts here, who helped facilitate this wonderful interview. Luke Roberts, why don't you jump on in? I know you're very familiar with Ace and some of the successes that he's had, man. So why don't you jump on in with some of your thoughts?
Well, like I said, Ace, I mean, I've had an opportunity to follow you pretty much since the beginning of your career. And we mentioned Dingo earlier on. We mentioned Davey Richards. But one man who I know for a fact that you've had a very, very tumultuous, and I could put it that way, relationship with is one Brandon Espinoza. I know a lot of the listeners here at the Wrestle Talk podcast know about Brandon Espinoza and in turn know about you. Can you give us a little bit of the history between you two gentlemen as it relates to the professional wrestling world?
Yeah, the first time we met was at Dynamo. He was already wrestling. He was already working by then. I was still just a trainee, and he despised me. He hated this young little kid who could run around and do all the cool stuff coming into the business and being a stupid greenhorn. And so he would always stiff me every chance he got during training until one day we were practicing senton. And I jumped up in the air and I weighted my entire body on top of him. And from that moment, we became friends. I earned his respect by stiffing him back, and that started he and I's friendship.
Well, I got to tell you, Ace, I mean, that's one of those where, I mean, again, one of the things in professional wrestling, I mean, when you get inside the ring, I mean, you got to lay it all on the line, and to get somebody's respect, I mean, that's one of the things you have to get is when you get in the ring, you know that you've made it somewhere when you have a man like a Brandon Espinoza have that opportunity to give you that respect. I do want to go ahead and touch on something here real quick before I go ahead and throw things over to Gil Lance. I was looking here, and one of the things that you had an opportunity, and again, it's one of the things you can always hold very dear to yourself. It said you debuted in 2010. In 2011, the readers of Pro Wrestling Illustrated named you the PWI Rookie of the Year. I mean, this is an award that's been held by some of the greatest professional wrestlers in history. How did it feel to win that award and be in such high esteem and such high quality, such high level in so early in your professional career?
Obviously, I tried to play it cool. I didn't want to be that young guy in the business who is, oh my gosh, I just won this cool award. I tried to play it cool, but deep down, that was one of the things I've been most proud of with my entire wrestling career. Being on a list with guys, I think like Goldberg, Kurt Angle, my buddy Mike Seidel, all kinds of like the who's who of people is on this list, and it's really cool to go online and look up this Rookie of the Year, just all the names that I'm now included in. It's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Well, like I said, I mean, again, that's one of those where, especially for those here in the St. Louis area, I know myself being around professional wrestling as long as I have, to see you receive that acknowledgement and be recognized by the readers of Pro Wrestling Illustrated was definitely a landmark event, not just in the St. Louis area, but in professional wrestling here in the Midwest. It's somebody with your in-ring ability to be recognized on such a high level. I'm going to go ahead. I had an opportunity before the interview to talk with Joe Lance. And Joe, I know that you've really been looking forward to this almost as much as Rene. So I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to you. I know you got some questions for the ace that runs the place.
Absolutely. You wrestled in the first ever ladder match in the history of South Broadway Athletic Club. What was it like in that match?
It was really cool. It was that was the culmination of a year-long program I did with Andrew Wilder. And started off, he was the baby. No, I was the baby. He was the heel. It went through. We switched, double turned it, and kept going and continued to feud on for more months. And it just continued. And that ladder match was a lot of fun. It was my first singles ladder match. It was his first ladder match at all. And it was really cool to, Broadway has always been my home in wrestling. It's been my home fed since I started. And it was really cool to be a part of a big match like that at home.
Okay. You've also have been in the PWI 500 on 4 occasions. What's it like to be in the PWI 500? Most people only been on there once, and you've been on there 4 times now.
It's pretty cool. I have to say, I'm disappointed with the year I've had that I actually am not in the 500 in the most recent issue. That was a little disappointing. I like to think that I just had one of the best years of my career, and I was overlooked for this. So that's a little disappointing. But to have been in there before and to have been higher ranked than some of my peers that I've grown up learning from and watching, that was really cool.
Okay. And my last question before I send it back to Rene, and this is kind of a tough question. If there was any wrestler that you could wrestle, alive or dead, who would it be?
Alive or dead?
Any wrestler you can think of, you would want to wrestle.
I would very much like to wrestle Dingo.
Wow. He was in action recently for NWL, right, Ace? I mean, didn't he just recently have a match out at NWL Anarchy or something like that?
Yeah, he I know he's bumping up around the scene again. He was in NWL recently. He did Dynamo a few months ago, and I never got a chance with him. He had a match with Brandon Aarons billed as student versus teacher, but I'm kind of the forgotten student. I don't get a match with them. Wow. I want a match against Dingo as well.
Come on. Well, listen,
you can make that happen?
We can make that happen. Joe, we can help. We can help. We can petition the folks over at MMWA. We can, the Wrestle Talk family. We got some strength in numbers. Why don't we petition to see an Ace Hawkins Dingo match? I think we can do it.
Well, rather than MMWA, I would like to wrestle in the company where he taught me. So how about Dynamo?
Dude,
wow.
That would be even more amazing.
I gotta say right now, I mean, that would be a match that a lot of fans, and I mean, Chris Rodell and I both, being at the announce table at Dynamo Pro, we've heard some fans talk about that. The idea that what would happen when you put a man with the legacy and a pedigree of Dingo to go up against Ace Hawkins. Now, Ace, I want to go ahead real quick here. You're talking about the idea of the match with Brandon Aarons and Dingo, but I gotta say, lately, dude, your dance card's been pretty full at Dynamo Pro as well. I mean, you just recently regained the MWR Missouri State Championship by wrestling Brandon Espinoza in a no disqualification match. Now, fans know you for your innovative offense. I mean, what was it like to wrestle someone that you have such a storied rivalry with? When basically the majority of the rules are thrown out, and basically it's just you and Brandon Espinoza, mano a mano, for that MWR Missouri State Championship. Tell us what it was like.
First, I'll start with what a brainbuster on the floor is like.
Oh my goodness!
That's one of the worst things you can do. I don't want to ever have to take another brainbuster on the floor.
Jeez Louise, man!
You've done it to me twice. I've had enough of that. The match itself was a lot of fun. Especially, obviously, getting the title back. Being one of two people to have held that title more than once is pretty cool. But yeah, like you said, the rules were thrown out, and and you brought up my innovative offense. What was it? The Ace Crusher on the floor, the running knee strike, followed by the guillotine DDT. That was the finish. That's what I had to do to take Brandon Espinoza down and reclaim the title.
Well, Ace, I got to tell you right now, I mean, again, if you have an opportunity, guys, and you can go on, I know for a fact that the brainbuster that one Ace Hawkins is talking about, I believe it's on YouTube. Chris Rodell and I were sitting there, and I'll tell you right now, I mean, I've seen this man, I mean, he literally got dropped on the top of his head. I mean, I've been around wrestling many, many years, and I'm going to tell you, Ace, when you hit the floor, the thud that your body made, I am beyond amazed that you were able to get up. I mean, again, being a former wrestler and taking that impact, I mean, again, you can train for years and years and years and put hours and hours in the gym, but one of the hardest parts of your body to train is your shoulders and your neck. And I mean, again, I have to give you kudos. I mean, again, we may not necessarily always agree on how things are and things along like, but I got to say this, that matchup you had with Brandon Espinoza, where the title was on the line, the Missouri Wrestling Revival Missouri State title, I got to say, it is definitely one of the matches that fans here in the Midwest, if you haven't seen it, you need to make it a point to find it, because it's a match that basically sets the standard for professional wrestling, and it showcases why Ace Hawkins is the MWR Missouri State Champion, and as he says, the ace that runs the place. Now, Rene, I know you've got a couple more questions here. I know our time is running very, very quickly away from us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm going to go ahead and throw things back to you. I know you got a couple more questions for the MWR Missouri State Champ.
Well, absolutely I do. And Ace, I'm curious, because we've talked a lot about the past and maybe even about the future, but I'm curious about presently. So where are you scheduled to appear next? Are you defending the championship in your next match? Where are you going to be in action coming up soon?
My next booking is with CCW in Cape on the 29th. I believe that's the night after the Jeff Hardy concert.
Incredible. Awesome.
I will be defending the MWR Championship against Mikey McFinnigan in a singles match. It'll be our first singles match. We've wrestled in a few tags. It'll be our first singles match for the title.
Dude, that's fantastic. I'm hearing a lot of great things about Cape. We had Lee Montgomery on the show a couple of weeks ago. He was an absolutely fantastic guest. And then something a little bit off the beaten path here. As a man who lives and breathes professional wrestling, I'm curious, man, what are you watching these days? I mean, we were talking a little earlier about some Evolve. We talked a little New Japan. What do you tune into when you want to watch some wrestling?
I mostly watch not entire shows. There's and when I'm watching, I'm watching for a learning experience. I'm watching guys like Cody, who left the WWE and he's now gone out onto the indie circuit and he's making a huge name for himself. I'm watching guys like Matt Riddle and Evolve, who left UFC and is now on the indie circuit making a huge name for himself. Guys in the WWE like AJ, Shinsuke, anybody that I can learn from is who I've got my eye on.
Dude, that is, and pun completely intended, is phenomenal. That I love the variety that you watch, because there are so many wrestling fans that are not necessarily wrestling fans, they're more WWE fans. But I mean, you bring up guys like Matt Riddle. I am a huge FIP fan. The Hooligans are actually my favorite tag team in the whole wide world. One of my favorite singles guys, obviously after Ace Hawkins, is ACH. So yeah, you guys are missing out if you're only watching WWE, no doubt about it. So with the couple of minutes we have left, Ace, we do something here on the show that we call the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. It is an opportunity for you, Ace Hawkins, the ace that runs the place, to go against me, the host of the show, the Night Owl, in a little bit of a trivia challenge. Are you up to it tonight?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead and get that music ready. Luke Roberts, Nightmare Jones, let's go ahead and get ready for the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Game Show Challenge right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Our contestants in tonight's game is Rene the Night Owl Martinez taking on the ace that runs the place, current two-time defending MWR Missouri State Champion, Ace Hawkins. Now, tonight, in honor of our guest, the MWR Missouri State Champion, tonight's category is Secondary Championship. All of the answers for tonight's trivia challenge will have held secondary championships in either the NWA, WCW, Ring of Honor Wrestling, or the WWE. What I will do is I will give you the question. When you think you know the answer, shout out what you think the correct answer is. The first person to answer two of the three questions correctly will be tonight's winner. Mr. Hawkins, are you ready?
What's up?
All right. Night Owl, are you ready?
Man, you know, I keep it sharp like a number 2 pencil on test day, baby. Let's go.
All right, here we go. Question number 1.
Back in 1979, this man has been known as the first WWF Intercontinental Champion.
Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson.
It was close, but ladies and gentlemen, the first point goes to Ace Hawkins with the correct answer of Pat Patterson.
Fine.
All right, question number 2, gentlemen. You get a problem, Rene?
No, I just there's a little bit of a connection issue over here, but I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. Blame it on the connection issue. That's right.
Wow, it's getting a little bit heated here tonight on the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. In 1975, this WWE Hall of Famer and Missouri native was the first man to hold the NWA United States Championship.
Harley Race.
Name him.
Harley Race.
Another close contest, but I got to say right now, question number 2 goes to the Night Owl. Harley Race is correct.
Boom, baby. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Run the tape back, Ace Hawkins.
All right, well, score tied 1-1, gentlemen. I mean, again, this is going to be anybody's contest. We're down to the final question. Here we go. This 2-time former ROH World Television Champion, known for his machismo, held the
Macho Man. No, Black Machismo. Black Machismo.
I heard Ace Hawkins first, and Ace Hawkins is correct with the correct answer of Jay Lethal by a score of 2-1. Tonight's winner of the Game Show Challenge here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast is the ace that runs the place, Ace Hawkins. Joe, if you'd be so kind, let's go ahead and give Mr. Hawkins his victory music.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they say there, and they say yeah, and they say that.
All right, fine. Ace won, okay? But the truth is, I was sitting here looking at the computer, and then there was like some lint coming off of the computer, and it got in my eye, and then I was having a really. Really, you guys got to hit the auto-tune crybaby on me. You know what, Ace Hawkins, sir, all kidding aside, you are a champion in the ring, and you are a champion here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Dude, we waited way too long to have you on. This was a tremendous interview, man. Thank you so much for being here.
You know, with that, the place I might start running next is this podcast.
What? Wait a minute now. I got a contract. You're not taking... Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe I need a break. I've been working too damn hard. Ace, big favor, man, before you go. Absolutely incredible interview. 2 things, man. Promise us you'll come back and do this again. And then plug your social media, man. People got to be able to keep up with the ace that runs the place.
Yeah, man. Facebook is Acebook Official. Follow that. That's the fan page. And then on Twitter, it's Ace Say What.
Ace Say What. All right. Well, we really pay. I just went to the page right now. Gave you a like. Again, Acebook, the official fan page on Facebook. Make sure you guys look up our boy. Ace, thank you for being here, man. On behalf of Luke Roberts, my partner Nightmare Jones, and myself, man, it was both an honor and a pleasure. Can't wait to do it again soon.
Great. Thank you.
Take it easy, brother. Woohoo! Awesome show, guys. Closing thoughts, starting with you, Luke Roberts.
Well, I got to tell you right now, guys, I mean, from top to bottom, a great show. We had Butch Fletcher on. We had High Spots, a great segment talking about, again, a man who really revolutionized many different facets of professional wrestling, Bobby Heenan. I said before, Butch Fletcher. We had the FWWC Snippets of Truth. We had Ace Hawkins coming in and showing why he is the ace that runs the place. Guys, I got to tell you, it's a great show. I want to say thank you for having me on again. Make it a point. Check out the sponsors. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Check out WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Guys, another phenomenal show here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
You got it, and thanks as always for helping us out. Luke, Joe, your thoughts?
Oh, what a great show from Butch Fletcher to Ace Hawkins to everybody at FWWC to Rene losing the game show challenge again.
Why do you guys enjoy that so much?
Show.
You guys enjoy the hell out of that. You know what? Well, I'm going to cut a quick promo as I make my way out of here. I want to talk to all the fans out there of Kansas City Extreme Wrestling. On October 1st at KCXW Destiny, there's going to be a new voice at KCXW. That's right. I'm taking over for Steve Lovelace, and I'm going to bring the noise in English and in Spanish, and I am going to announce my ass off and try to do everybody out there that is a fan of KCXW proud. I am honored and I am ready to take on this responsibility wholeheartedly. Thank you all, members of the Wrestle Talk family. Thank you, Ace Hawkins, Big Daddy P. Thank you, Butch Fletcher, Luke Roberts, Joe Lance, and most importantly, my beloved Lord and Savior and my wonderful wife that gives me permission to do this every single Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time right here on WrestleTalkPodcast.com. That's it, guys. We are out of here. Have a good night. Catch you guys in 7 days. Peace!
Peace.